Hi and welcome back to part 3 of the parsley hair needle felting tutorial. Part 3 we are going to make the ears, and I've just made one here just so you can see what we're aiming for. It's not exactly the same size and shape as the one I previously made, but they never are, so don't worry too much about that. They will always differ slightly. So we have done in part 1, we've done the body, we've got the head, then in part 2 we've created those legs. So now onto the ears. Again, using exactly the same colour carded wool that you have used throughout the whole project. And I just need to say here as well, you can use wool top for this, just make sure you use a nice coarse wool top, makes it a lot easier. You can use a coarse wool top for the whole project, but I really love this carded wool for this. So what you need to do is take a small length of carded wool, so that is approximately, let's have a look, that's about 15 centimetres long. So you need 2 pieces about the same size. So if you've got a thick piece of carded wool, split it in half down the middle so that it's thinned out. Then all you want to do is fold that in half. And then what you can also do is just twizzle those ends just to mat them together. And as you can see, before we've even done anything, we've started to create a shape. So what I would suggest you do is then draw a line with your needle around the ear, because what we're going to do is we're going to fold in those sides around the line to make a really neat edge. And you're aiming for a petal sort of teardroppy shape, so just work around the sides of the ear. You can see how I've created that line already. And then pull in those edges up to the line. You will find that it just stops naturally. Use your needle. You can either use your fingers or you can use your needle to pull in those edges. And can you see how we're bringing that in? We're reducing the size and we're aiming for that really nice, neat shape. And if you start off, and this works for most ears, you can create the shapes and then just flatten the rest down. Can you see how that's working? There we go. So you can see already that shape is starting to come on really nicely, but look how flat and firm and smooth this ear is. That's what we're aiming for. So we're just going to peel it off gently. Don't over felt it, because that's when all your fibres get stuck in your mats and it's harder to peel off. So keep working that. Turn it again, and you do only need a single needle for this, but if you have one of the multi-tools like the punch tool, which has 7 needles, and I have this here which is just a wooden felting needle holder. This holds up to 4, but I've got 3 in there. So you can see how they are going to speed up the process. However, when I'm flat felting, to really speed it up, what I like to do, I'm just going to swap this over. So that's quite a thick piece of felt on there as a topper, but I'm going to go onto my hessian mat, and this is a slightly thinner piece. These toppers are all available in the shop. I'll pop the links below for you. So this will work either on top of your foam or on top of your rice mat. I've just got a rice mat here. And I'm just going to show you how quickly you can do this with the punch needle tool, which I really love, and it gives a really nice finish. And if you're doing lots of these, you're making lots of gifts, or if you're running a business and you're making lots to sell, then you really do want to get one of these. They're not expensive. I think these are about £8 or £9 in the shop. You don't need to get the well-known brands, which are probably double the price, because these do exactly the same job. One's from Hong Kong, one's from China. That's the difference. So here we go. It's got 7 needles and it's got a guard. So you turn that guard and that moves up and down. It's also really good if you want to teach kids flat felting, because it protects their fingers. Now, you don't go in at any angles with this. It is always straight up and down. And you see I'm doing that quite slowly. So you can see I'm at a very slight angle, but what you can't do is going diagonally, because you will break it. And what you don't want to go at it like is like a till of the Hun, because what will happen is those needles will go through to the base and break. So it's quite difficult to do that, but it does happen. So as you can see, I'm just speeding this up a little bit here and turn that over. And you see now, because it's starting to felt, you've got less fibres sticking to the mat. So turn it over and you just keep really working that. And you can see at the moment that is too big, but we're going to bring those sides in. And also, if you've got a multi-tool like a wooden holder here, you can also use that very well to speed up the process. And what I would suggest is, as well, if you're finding that it's difficult to get the needle through as it gets more firmly felted, you can just change these for, say, a 40 needle, which are a little bit thinner, and they will go through much more easily. But this, because it's very flat, doesn't have any problems. These are just standard 38s in here. And again, with this, you can change the needles whenever you need to. Needles do get blunt over time. Okay, so this is peel it off again. As you can see, this is a little bit wide still, so I'm going to go back to the single needle, which is all you need. You don't need any fancy tools. And I'm just going to bring those edges in again, because what you want to do, if I find the other ear, is use your other ear as a comparison and aim to be as close to that size and shape as possible. You won't get them perfectly the same, but near as damn it is good enough. And also what that does is it's creating this really nice edge. So I have reduced the size of that. It's looking something more like now. I'm going to go back in with this punch needle. And it just flies through with absolute ease. I use this for needle felted pictures. It's just a dream. And as you can see, that side is still a little bit rough, but as we've been felting here, you see how smooth that's becoming. So we'll turn it over and then we'll continue to smooth. And those edges are a little bit uneven, but I'm going to show you how to do that, how to shape it, and how not to prick your fingers while you're doing it, because this is usually the time when you are going to prick your fingers. So we're not quite there yet, but it is reducing. So what I'm going to do is, I have a sort of fancy gadget. This is from Sarafina Fibre Art. She's a great fibre artist, and I have a friend in America. I was lucky enough to have a friend in America who sent me this as a gift. It's brilliant. So it's leather, and what you do is you grip that quite tightly so that you can see the sides of the ear, and then what you can do is you can go along without damaging your fingers and really reduce and neaten the edges, you see, and then turn it around and do the same. But a piece of cardboard folded in half does exactly the same job. So you don't need any fancy gadgets for this, just a piece of folded cardboard. And you see, turn that around, and what you're doing is you are tidying up those edges. Go diagonally as well. Can you see how that shape's forming? I've got a little bit of a lump there, so I'm just going to gently, and you just gently at this. It's quite simple and it's all freehand. There's no need for any templates. And turn it round and do the same, work down the sides as well. See how that's coming along. And to the other side. Maybe could have done with a cardboard a little bit bigger than this, but it will suffice. And you see how that's beginning to shape nicely. And then what we want to do is, as you can see on here, we've got these nice slimmed edges towards the base of the ear. So all you do is hold your fingers apart and just work in like that. And then again, that way your fingers are safe. You see what's happening there? Go to the other side, do exactly the same thing. And this wool's still quite loose compared to the other one. So I'm going to go back in, now that we've reduced that size a little bit, with the punch needle. And if you look at this, you could make flowers, you could do all sorts of things with this shape. It works really well. Quite noisy, but I don't mind that. And make sure you felt the end as well. Not as felted as the top part, but make sure it is felted in, because we need that to create the shape. Turn it over, and then what you can start doing, as you can see, this has got a little sort of cup shape in the middle. So either with your punch tool, focus on the middle, or your single needle, and you can see those sides starting to lift. And let's compare sizes. Yep, we're almost there. Now you see this is a little bit wider than that one, so rather than trying to reduce this, what you can actually do is, because the wool's very stretchy and malleable, just open it up a little bit. There you go. That's coming on well. So I'm just going to go down the sides again here. Like I say, you don't need the cardboard, but if you're worried about pricking your fingers, then it's a really good tool and works really well. And then I'm just going to work these sides in here so it's narrower down the base. How are we looking? I would say that's not far off. In fact, just a little bit more work around here. And that is it. I love making ears. They're really fun to make because they're really simple and you get really quick results. So I'm happy with that. They don't have to be exactly perfect. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add some white wool just for detail, and then what will happen is in the next part as well, we will actually start putting everything together, and we'll attach the ears to the back of the head together, so that they're in exactly the right spot and you're not having to move one or the other around to match, to get equal sides. So I'm just going to felt these bases a little bit more. I do want that nice and firm because I want to attach the ears kind of from there. So we do need that to be nice and firm there. There we go. So they're ready for a little bit of white wool now. Now, the trick with this is to make it look really natural. As you can see on these ears here, it's kind of barely there, and you hardly felt it on at all. You just kind of want it to hold. So you can use contrasting wools, you can use dark, slightly lighter. I think I'm going to go with the white again, and this is carded wool, and what's really good about carded wool is when you want to add details, you can really get that lovely sort of barely there natural look. And what I'm going to do is just really sort of just barely tack it on, because what I don't want to see is lines. If you overfelt it, I'll show you, if you overfelt it, then you start to get really sort of stark lines and edges, and you just don't want that. So you just lay your wool on, really wisp it out. And if you wanted, you know, some lighter contrast that's not quite as stark as the white, then you can pop that on as well, which looks quite nice. So it almost sort of blends into that white, so it looks like a really nice transition of wool colours. Oops, just making that a little bit too precise. There we go. And then the same for the other ear, similar. So just pop a little bit on. You can pop it just to the edge and have this side without the white. Pop a little bit of that there. And if you wanted some darker contrast as well, you could pop that in. So I'm going to just tack it on. But the trick is keep it really thin. You want to be able to see through it. And if it's too much, pull it off. And then you can use your wool your needle just to tease that around again. There we go. And there we have it, a nice set of ears ready for part 4, which is putting it all together. So I'll see you in the next tutorial.